Jeff, I know over these past few months you've gotten to see these guys, in workouts and over to Italy, but with the first day of practice, what's your general feel with this team? What's impressed you about them? What do you think might define them?
Well, we're still trying to figure all that stuff out. I mean, it's still very early, although we do, have some experience with our guys so far with the practices and the 3 games that we had in Italy. I really like my team. We have 4 guys that have returned that I think have gotten better. And then we're surrounded by a bunch of new guys. And I think those guys have gotten better from the first time they got here in June. I think the practices, the trip, the competition, I think that's helped. We're trying to get some guys healthy. That will certainly help practice out a little bit. But I'm excited about the growth and development that we've had with each individual guy and in the direction that we're going.
With that trip to Italy, do you enter practice with maybe a little bit better sense of rotation and how you kind of see things playing out than maybe you did a year ago?
Well, it's we have a reference point. As far as the rotation goes, that's kind of ongoing. That depends on how guys play. I don't go into anything thinking, okay, a set number of guys or this guy's going to play this many minutes. That's determined by how they play in practice, how they compete, what they do. When we actually get in competition here going forward, when the games matter, who gives us the best chance to win? Right now, everyone has an opportunity. And I love that there's competition in practice. That's something, that I'm not saying we didn't have last year, but we can push guys a little bit more. Guys can look over their shoulder a little bit more, especially at certain positions. So that's something that's really good for our program.
Have you seen? You guys bring back most of your production from last year, but you do lose one of your best outside shooters, Wilson Frame. Is there one player you see sort of absorbing that volume of outside shots, or is it going to be more of a team effort?
Well, hopefully our returning guys, especially on the perimeter, have gotten better shooting the basketball. That was something that we really tried to work on, and I know those guys have worked at it. Hopefully the results show up as we get into season, and that's Xavier, Trey, and Aldis. So that certainly will help. With the new guys that we have, Gerald can shoot the ball, Ryan Murphy can shoot the basketball, Justin can shoot the basketball. It's just a matter of repetition. So I wouldn't say, hopefully we don't have just one guy like we had last year. Hopefully our guys have improved enough across the board where we're a better shooting team.
Was that an area that you thought, especially that your guards could improve in, that
Yes.
they had that capability?
That was something that we thought was a big thing for us in the offseason, is us shooting the basketball. Everyone that watched us last year, that was after the first 4 games, we didn't get to the foul line as much, and when that didn't happen, then our scoring production went down. We were very inconsistent shooting the ball. And so that's something that we've tried to address, tried to work on. We've tried to work on it with our development, but also in recruiting.
You had talked earlier, Jeff, about the team's health. I know Justin had injured his knee. What's the extent of that injury, and how long are y'all expecting?
Yeah, it's still being evaluated. There's no timetable yet. He's shown some improvement, but we don't know exactly when he'll be able to be back.
Would it be potentially season ending?
Could be. Yeah.
Jeff, have you seen some of the guys that this time a year ago were either freshmen or guys that maybe didn't know what to expect with the new head coach sort of turn into leaders for your program and guys that are bringing along younger guys?
Yeah, well, one of the things that's great is that we have a number of guys that were even our walk-ons, the 4 guys that I mentioned. Kenna's not able to play, but he was here last year. And then you have guys like Anthony, Curtis, Chase, like those guys were here, and so they know the terminology. We're not having to teach that. They know the drills, so we're not having to teach that as much. It also helps this trip that we did, because a lot of the stuff that we're doing now, it's not stuff that we're just introducing, but it certainly helps. And then especially with Xavier, Trey, Aldis, and Terrell, the guys that played significant minutes, they have a reference point now. Everything was new to everyone last year, even me to them. I didn't really know them. And so it certainly helps this year that we all have a reference point. And now we have guys that can kind of talk to the new guys and talk them through some things where last year it was just my staff and I.
What do you think, Jeff, over these next 6 weeks you're going to learn or get a better idea of or figure out with this group before your first game?
Well, hopefully we figure out roles. That's a big thing. Hopefully, we can define some roles, about where we are right now, and guys to understand their role, embrace their role, and star in their role, and understand that their role is really, really important. Everyone in basketball is a role player, even the superstar. That's his role, is to be the best player. And so, we have to understand that. And everyone's role will be different, but everyone's role is important. So that's kind of the main thing, is to figure that out, and then to do everything we can as a staff to put our guys in the best position and our team in the best position to be successful.
Good.
Coach, did that change your approach at all over these next 6 weeks here, knowing that you're opening up with an ACC opponent?
Yeah.
First game?
Yeah, it does. It does. And a team that's usually always very athletic, big, really good, and been one of the better programs in our league. So it certainly does. That's one of the reasons we knew it was going to be an ACC game. We knew that last year that this was going to happen. So it's one of the reasons why we felt like this Italy trip was important for this team and helps for trying to maybe get a little bit of leg up and help us in our preparation for that.
Have you had a chance to kind of look around the conference at all and see, what your thoughts are of how things have changed or been different from last year?
I haven't studied it. Look, I'm a fan of basketball, so I'm always looking at, other conferences, other teams, certainly our league, and I think I know who's on rosters. I know who lost people, recruiting classes. I know that, but you don't really know until you see them. So all this stuff on paper right now, and all this speculation of what's going to happen and who's going to be what, you don't know. You don't know who got better. How much better someone improved. If, is there an injury? Did someone lose someone? Is the loss that maybe you thought wasn't going to be as bigger than maybe you thought? And so it's all these different things. So as a fan of basketball, yeah, I try to study and see and read and try to figure out. I talk to coaches when we're on the road, but it's still going to be very good with 20 games. It's a beast, and it's tough night in and night out. I mean, there's no bad team. That's the way I look at it. There's no bad team. Teams, or even the bottom teams last year, and we were one of them, but we had opportunities. We beat two of the teams that were kind of better in the league, and felt like we were right there with some of the other ones. And so hopefully we can take a few more steps this year.
As someone who follows, obviously, college basketball nationally, news in the last week, in Georgia Tech, with more specifically Kansas, what was your reaction when you saw that news and read about that?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to say I'm surprised. I think anyone that's a fan of college basketball knows. I shouldn't say knows. You've read what's been going on, all the speculation and all these different things. My approach has always been, I don't know. I don't know other programs. I try to concentrate and focus on my program. Certainly, I know some things in our sport need to be cleaned up, and I'm all for that. And but I also believe in due process, and I don't believe in saying anyone is guilty until they go through the process. I think everyone is deserving of that. I don't know if that's because I'm married to a lawyer, or because of some of the things I've been through. I've been through an NCAA investigation where there were presumptions on me, and so I'm very sensitive to that. But again, my focus has been on us. We, as my dad would say, we have enough to say grace over in our program, trying to figure out how to climb out of this and to get better. And so that's been my sole focus. But I have read stuff that's going on.
Jeff, we had talked with you earlier about your team's outside shooting. When it comes to your big man, when it comes to your front court, what's really stood out to you or impressed you?
Excuse me. I think Terrell has gotten better. I think he's in better shape. I think he's more confident as a basketball player. And then, we have two new guys, Kareem and Eric, and one fifth-year senior. So he's older. He has more experience in college, a little bit stronger. And so he's picked up things. Kareem has done some really good things. He has talent. And so we're just trying to figure out the best thing for them and how they can best help us, and to put them in the positions to be, to be successful and to help us. But at the same time, we have to push them. We need those guys to be physical, to rebound, to defend, to be able to give us something to finish around the basket, offensive glass, to do those things, to ball screen, to rim run really hard, to put pressure on the rim. Those are things that we've tried to work on with those guys since we started. We've seen progress, but we need to see them, continue to make progress.
You look at the things you want to improve for this year. How important or how high would you rank? I mean, just getting Terrell consistently night after night. Some of those flashes he showed last season, just putting that out there on
that would be a
nightly
big thing.
basis.
That would be a big thing for many of them. For many of our post guys, really for our whole team, where we can be consistently, what you're going to get. That's something. So that's something that's been a big thing, a big topic for ours, really since the spring, with our returning guys and then our new guys, is how can we become consistently good? How can we have those habits where they're really good habits, where it's just what you do all the time, where they're automatics, you don't think twice about it. And so we've tried to do things in practice and drills, in meetings, in mindset, trying to get our guys to be that way. Again, we've seen some growth, but it needs to continue to get to a high level.
Coach, you talk about consistency. Last year, specifically, Trey struggled with some sporadic scoring. With him this year going forward, is maybe being more aggressive and more consistent as a scorer something you want to emphasize with him?
Well, Trey is as important as anyone on our team. When he played well last year in conference, we won. Period. And so we need him to become consistently good. He, like Terrell, like all of our guys last year, they showed in spurts they could be really good, and Trey showed that he could be dynamic. I think a big thing with him is confidence. I thought he got down on himself at times last year, and so we've tried to help him with that, to talk to him, to show him, to teach him, and to not allow it in practice. And he's done some really good things. He's worked very, very hard, and he's playing really well right now, and hopefully that's something that continues and carries over.
With a guy like Trey, Jeff, how much of that just come, how much does just even having that 1 year under his belt possibly benefit him, just give him a little extra perspective where things are kind of not going well, he doesn't get as down on himself, or he kind of has a better sense of what might be going wrong?
Yeah, I think it helps a lot. You're talking about a kid that could have been a senior in high school last year, and was thrown right away into the fire, and I thought he handled it very well. His first 4 conference games, he has 2 30-point games, and then he starts to struggle, which every freshman in this league, and I've been around a lot of really, really good ones, usually around that second week in January is when you see him kind of hit a wall. For us, we didn't have any, we couldn't afford those guys to hit a wall, and they did, and I think he knew that. I think he carried that burden of, I'm letting my team down. And so I think with a year of understanding how to get in better shape, of having the experience of going through all of that, and then having some success at the end of the year, and then just really working, I think that will really help him in the experience that he got last year, being a really good player, of struggling at times, and then having to figure it out on the fly.